A Haywood County father is stabbed to death and his son is charged in the killing. 26-year-old Jody Jones is charged with murder and attempted murder. News 13's Kimberly King is in the Hyder Mountain community in Haywood County outside the family's home. And Kim, the victim's other son was also attacked.
Tammy, that's right. 19-year-old Hunter Jones, according to investigators, came out of his family's home and told investigators that he had been stabbed by his brother Jody and that his father was dead inside.
He was just so good. Couldn't ask for a better person than he was.
Tammy Lanning knew 78-year-old Marion Jones well. Attacked, police say, inside his home by Jody, his adult son, 26 years old.
The first deputy on the scene noticed someone in the driveway who had blood.
That was the victim's other son, Hunter, who's 19.
He had been stabbed.
But inside, Jody, investigators say, was hiding.
We said, please come out with your hands up. Retreated further into the house.
But moments later, surrendered.
He gave his shirt off his back.
That's what Randy Lanning, his wife Tammy, and Debbie Jones say about victim Marion Jones. Their parents lived next door.
He was probably one of my dad's best friends. Would take her trash off or go get her stuff at the store for her. Knowing that this happened to him, especially the way it happened, is heart-wrenching.
Marion Jones's friends are focused on remembering him and the loss of a wonderful neighbor they loved.
He was a very sweet man.
A rise in crime and a drop in experienced officers.
That's what the new police chief in Asheville is tackling. News 13 investigative reporter Karen Zack sat down with Chief David Zack to find out his plans to keep a growing city safe.
So I understand that.
Chief David Zack is well aware of the reality his new department faces.
The crime rate, when you talk about your Part 1 violent crime, your Part 1 property crime, you've seen pretty steady increases over the last 5 years.
This data from the Asheville Police Department shows violent crime year to date to mid-December, from 2014 to 2019. Homicides are up 50%, rapes up 18%, and aggravated assaults are up 68%.
I think that's a big challenge that we have to look at, is rising crime with a very young, inexperienced workforce.
Chief Zack says while crime has risen, experienced officers have left. In fact, in the last 5 years, Chief Zack says there's been a 50% turnover in APD's workforce.
How do you manage that?
Well, that's, training. Again, I think a lot of it is just clear messaging of what expectations are. Development of their skills, but also the development of the leadership skills within the department.
Chief Zack says right now he's trying to figure out what's working and what's not within the department. Then he wants to get that same feedback from the community. Despite challenges, he's optimistic.
Disney World wants to add more magic to its Cinderella Castle. The iconic centerpiece of Disney's Magic Kingdom Park is getting a makeover. This is what it will look like when it's done. The work will get underway in the coming weeks and continue through summer. Cinderella, the movie, marks the 70th anniversary of its box office debut. The castle is located at the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando, Florida. Speaking of Disney, check this out. Disney is launching a new line of princess-inspired wedding gowns so that fairy tale weddings might be possible after all. Allure Bridals is designing 16 dresses reflecting the personalities and tastes of characters like Tiana, Ariel, Jasmine, Pocahontas, and Cinderella. All the dresses will be unveiled this April during New York Bridal Fashion Week. There's no word whether Disney will offer tuxedos for those real-world Prince Charmings. And take a look at this daredevil. He spent President's Day more than 100 feet in the air battling the winds in Hawaii. Blake Walenda performed a 200-foot-long skywalk between two hotel towers. To do it, he ventured out 14 stories up onto a tightrope. The 31-year-old carried a balance pole. At one point, he even did a trick on the tightrope, balancing on one foot. Walenda says this skywalk was his most daring to date.
If you think you can't go wrong eating leafy greens like lettuce, kale, and spinach, you're mostly right. They've been linked to reduce the risk of heart disease, some cancers, and type 2 diabetes. But behind their star-studded benefits lie risks that can be dangerous. Between 2006 and 2019, greens like romaine, spinach, and bags of spring mix were responsible for at least 46 national outbreaks of E. coli, causing many hospitalizations and even some deaths.
So here's the challenge. We want people to eat these green vegetables, these healthy
leafy greens, but they're easily contaminated by bacteria.
Bacteria that comes from animal feces can get onto the foods we eat. Many greens, especially romaine lettuce, are grown in California and Arizona. For leafy green farmers, keeping fields free from dangerous bacteria is a challenge.
You're always worried about contamination with animals. If you're growing outside, even just wild birds kind of flying overhead, you have the risk of Salmonella, E. coli.
It is important for farmers to take steps like keeping animals away from fields, sanitizing equipment and boots, and wearing gloves. But even with these precautions, it's still possible for contaminants to end up on the greens. So should you stop eating leafy greens? Consumer Reports says that for most people, the nutritional benefits far outweigh the potential contamination risks. Not everyone who is exposed to Salmonella or E. coli gets sick, but for people who are most vulnerable, that includes pregnant women, older adults, infants, and young children, and anyone with a compromised immune system, they should carefully consider whether to eat raw greens.
One of the best things you can do is cook it. So cook it to the point where it's wilted.
Consumer Reports says don't be fooled by labels saying greens have been triple washed. Even the most thorough washes are primarily designed to remove dirt and grit. They can ensure that the greens are bacteria free. Go to WLOS.com and click on Consumer Reports under the News tab for more information.